Molehusband, the worst parker in town. You weren't, it was before you were born. Throughout the 60s, 70s and 80s, he was a regular sight on our TVs in a public information film about bad parking, and it made him a slightly unlikely star.
In a moment, we'll be speaking to him about a BBC poll to find the nation's favourite public information film. His film, sadly, is the only one that was actually lost, but we have recreated it with a little help from Reginald himself, to see if this brings back any memories.
This is the story of Reginald Molehusband, married, 2 children, whose reverse parking was a public danger. People came from miles just to see it. Bets were laid on his performance. When he managed to miss at the back, he was sure to make up for it at the front. Bus drivers and taxis changed their routes to avoid him, until the day that Reginald Molehusband did it right. Not too close, far enough forward. Come on, Reginald, and reverse in slowly. Come on, and watching traffic. And park perfectly. Well done, Reginald Molehusband, the safest parker in town.
Well, Reginald Molehusband was played by the actor Ian Gardner, who's here with us now. It must have brought back memories to recreate it. It's such a shame that of all the films to have lost, it was that one.
Oh, indeed, yes, it brought back many memories. Mind you, I'm not altogether sure it's a bad thing they've lost the film. The contrast between the dashing young Mr. Molehusband and myself might be a bit frightening. The decrepit old gentleman, yes.
And it was a highlight of your career, because people still remember you as...
Oh, well, yes, I like to think I've done something more important than Mr. Molehusband.
I said a highlight.
Yeah, highlight, yeah. Yes. But no, he was remembered for many, many years. And can I say, actually, that was much more frightening doing that film than the original one 40 years ago.
Why was that?
Well, as you'll see, I'm a bit, to say the least, rheumatic-y, and having to do about 10 takes reversing, turning around. Was a bit of a problem.
And of course, Ian, when you went along for the original film, you had no idea what an impact it was going to have, or how long it was going to run for.
And indeed, I still really don't know, because I've never seen the film myself. You see, this is the extraordinary thing.
In all those years.
In all those years, I just caught the tail end of it once when it was still showing up in the north, because it went on up in the north, at North Country for years. So when I was touring, it was still on there, yes.
Parallel parking was a bit more difficult in those days because there was no power steering, although the Austin 1100 on which you did it was a great car.
Oh, it was a good little car, but, in fact, my problems yesterday were not so much with the gears, but, well, the actual reverse gear, because I couldn't get into it. And here was I doing a film about reverse parking, and I couldn't get into the gear. And the gentleman who owned the car explained that it was something to do with I'm not very mechanically minded, but synchro mesh or something.
Yes.
And so I tried to take on board what he was saying, and in the end, with a very patient cameraman, we managed to get the film done.
And you had a lot of recognition, didn't you? I mean, you had people coming up to you.
Oh, yes, saying being very rude remarks, yes. But actually, worse than the rude remarks was the fact that, I used to tour up in the north, and I'd go into the bar after the show, and people would come up. They were very friendly, and they'd talk about one thing and another, and never discuss my part or the play or anything, and they'd just be peering at me and say, "You're Mr. Molehusband, 40 years in the business and remembered for a bit of a nerd, parking." Yeah.
Well, that's great. Let's hope that we've managed to jog some memories this morning. Might turn up a copy of it.
I don't think so. I think I feel that so many people might. I've got my niece, she's great on the computer, but she hasn't. She thought she'd found something.
At least it would be nice to show it to you, if nothing else.
Oh, well, absolutely. I'd love to see it. Yes, of course. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there's a chance for you to vote for your favourite public information film. You'll find details on the Breakfast website and click on magazine. I learnt on an Austin 1100.
You did, and you learnt to park perfectly, I'm sure, Bill.
Well, I learnt. It's as best as we can put it, I think.
Now, the Oscars, of course, only a day away. Amidst the hype and chaos of the red carpet, there's one unassuming British animator who's quietly hoping for nothing less than a 4th Academy Award.
Yes, in his only pre-ceremony interview, Wallace and Gromit creator Nick